Hey everyone, welcome to our second to-go wine tasting. Today we're tasting wines from Argentina. My name is Amanda, and this is...
I am Chef Lee, chef of 440 Maine and Mickey's on Maine.
Hi everyone, welcome back for those that have done it before. My name is Aaron Dawkins. I'm a certified sommelier with the Court of Master Sommeliers, and I work for Republic National Distributing here in Kentucky. So hopefully everyone's had a moment to get your wines chilled, get your glasses ready and your wines open. We'll give you a second for that if you haven't already, but we're excited to be back in front of you to do this again. We've got another great lineup of food prepared by Chef Lee and the crew at 440 Maine, and another really awesome lineup of wines from Argentina. So one thing we heard last time, we didn't necessarily tell you to do it, but feel free, since we have pre-recorded this, feel free to pause and drink wine whenever you are ready to do that. At any moment in this video, you can kind of pause and keep going. Feel free to try a few of the different wines and meats and cheeses all together. That is the fun of these wine tastings, just to see not only what we recommend to try together, but what you think tastes the best. So tonight we got a great lineup of some awesome Argentine wines. Chef Lee is going to be my Vanna White again as we talk through what we're tasting. So first up tonight, we're going to taste the Guggenheim Sparkling Malbec. So this is an actual Brut Rosé made from Malbec that is delicious. After that, we're going to move to Argentina's most famous white grape, which is Torrontés. This is from Trevento, called the White Orchid. And then we'll go into two full-bodied red wines. First up will be the Alta Vista Estate Cabernet Franc. And then we'll close tonight with the Nicholas Catena Reserve Malbec, the Vista Flores. And these are awesome versions. Malbec being Argentina's most famous and probably most important grape. Chef, I think everyone probably should start with the bubbles. And what cheese do you think you probably want to start off with tonight?
I'd probably go with the Brie with the Malbec bubbles, something nice and mild and creamy with it.
Absolutely. So just like always, all of these cheeses, all of these meats are going to go great with any of the wines, but man, Brie and sparkling wine is going to treat you really well. So if you have that first glass of rosé ready to go, if I had a glass here in my vineyard hillside vista in Argentina, I would cheers with you. But first of all, we would all be better human beings if we drank more bubbly. So cheers, welcome back to the class. I hope you enjoy this first wine. So Guggenheim is the name of the winery. They're a fairly new project in Mendoza. They make a couple different wines, specifically still wines, but they do make one really unique wine, and that is this Brut Rosé made from grapes of Malbec. When you make sparkling wine, and really when you make any rosé or still wine, all of that color, all of that texture that you get from wine comes from the contact with the wine grapes. So the longer that the grapes are in the tank or in the barrel with the juice, the more color, the more full body, the more texture and flavor that they get. So what's fun about rosé, specifically sparkling rosé, is it's just a little bit of skin contact in order to give a little bit of that flavor and really could just kind of put the bright red fruits in there, but not overpower it with weight and heaviness that comes from longer skin contact. And so with the Guggenheim, this is traditional champagne method, which means this is secondary fermentation inside the bottle, which is why when you're picking up that bottle, it's so heavy. It's also why the shape is the shape that it is, to help protect the bubbles that are inside from that kind of natural carbonation that happens when yeast is eating sugar inside that bottle. You should, when you go through it, have a little bit of the Brie at the same time as having a little bit of the Malbec, the sparkling Malbec, and I would probably pause at this point and enjoy and try a few things, talk amongst yourselves, see what you like and what you don't like. And after that, what we're going to move to is the the Vista, I'm sorry, not the Vista Flores, the White Orchid from Tremento. So next up, Chef, you got it.
I was going to say, to go with the White Orchid, we've got a nice fig goat cheese. It's going to be creamy and fluffy and got a little bit of sweetness from Mediterranean figs and orange peel.
Awesome. So as we go into this, I love the pairing of the Mediterranean figs with this, specifically because Torontes is a very, very unique grape. It's originally from Spain, but it's taken on this life of itself in Argentina. And it's a very floral, very aromatic grape. So when you smell this, it is bright and big and out there. It's got a lot going on in the nose. But I also think it always shows a little bit of salinity. And when I say salinity, I mean almost like a saltiness, like a seawater. So that Mediterranean pairing is really, really great. Some of the unique properties of Argentina as to why this wine does so well in Argentina, this grape, I should say. Torontes and Argentina is unique. So you see behind me a little bit of the Andes Mountains as we go through. And I'm going to share my screen here, and we're going to take a look at hold on one second. We're going to take a look just at the wine map of Argentina. All right. Can you see my my little screen there and my wine map? Can everybody see it? Awesome. So as we look at Argentina, most of the concentration of winemaking is in these foothills of the Andes here. But when we talk about foothills and other places, this is actually still a high desert. So these wines through this area are made anywhere from 2,500 to 7,000 feet above sea level. And this is a high desert. The only way that they are able to get irrigation and rainwater there is actually through runoff from the melting of the snow in the Andes Mountains. So every year they actually do a thing called flood irrigation. You can see canals through there, and you can see the Andes Mountains in the background. But what they actually do is they have this series of canals dug through the entirety of their wine region, as well as through orchards for produce growing. And they literally flood the vineyards once a year, and that's all of the water that they get for that year. It's very simple process with these canals and these trenches dug, but it's very, very expensive. The people that own the water, usually the Argentine government, they actually charge by the minute for how long these gates are open, and you pay for how long those gates are open for how much water you get for that year. So the rest of the year, it is dry farmed. You get one kind of runoff through the year in the spring, but it makes for a very, very unique growing area. This is actually a Torontes vineyard here. They're literally, because of the altitude, they are closer truly to the sun, which is pretty amazing. So you get very, very ripe, but you get big diurnal shifts through the day that are specifically, hot climate during the day, and then cooler temperatures at night. So as we move on from there, hopefully you really like that White Orchid. It's named that for its very floral nose and bouquet, but that's a really classic example of Torontes from Argentina. So we'll do our best to pause here for a moment, give you a second to enjoy this, and then from there we'll move on to our big red wines, which is frankly what Argentina is most famous for. So we've got two different versions, both traditionally what are called Bordeaux varietals. They both hail as their ancestral home is Bordeaux, France. The first one is the Cabernet Franc from Alta Vista, and then the second one, of course, is Malbec, which actually comes originally from Bordeaux and is a blending grape famously of Bordeaux. So, Chef, what do we got up for cheese number 3?
Cheese number 3 to go with the Cabernet is the Fontina. It's an Italian cheese. It's got a little bit of a springy texture, and it's got hints of hazelnut and butter. Awesome.
So Cab Franc is a really, really cool grape. This is actually what's known as the parent grape along with Sauvignon Blanc for the famous Cabernet Sauvignon. But Cabernet Franc is a little bit different. It's a little bit more rustic. It's a little bit more earthier. It's not quite as refined as Cabernet Sauvignon. It's still a very full-bodied, dark-skinned grape. But what I love about this versus Cabernet Sauvignon is it gives a very, very distinct herbaceous note. So as you smell this wine, you should get things like green bell pepper. You should get smokiness that comes from both the grape as well as from the barrel aging regimen. So this winery, Alta Vista, is an impressive place. They hold some of the highest altitude vineyard sites on earth. They have one vineyard called the Altamira that is over 10,000 feet above sea level. Really, really hard to grow grapes there, but they get it done. It's super expensive. I'm sorry you're not drinking that right now, but it's really, really cool. Their Cabernet Franc is grown in the Uco Valley at about 4,000 feet above sea level. But the Uco Valley is this wonderful little place in Mendoza, which we showed on the map, that it's a valley, but in the middle of this mountain range. So it's almost, I always equate it to like the Green Valley, if you ever watch Land Before Time. You come through these mountains, and in the middle of this spot is this super fertile, beautiful green valley that you get to grow. And it's got a long, even growing climate. And one of the things that makes it so great for full-bodied red wines is its lack of rain. We talked about the flood irrigation here in Uco Valley. They really do dry farming for most of it, because what they want is no rain at or anywhere near harvest. They want those grapes as full and textured and as dense and strong as possible, because if rain comes near harvest and water comes near harvest, it actually swells the grapes full of water. And while that would make more juice, the juice that comes out of those grapes is far less concentrated and far less flavorful. Imagine just adding a little bit more water to your kind of tea that's been steeping. If you add a little bit more water, it dilutes it. It gives you more tea, but it doesn't actually increase the texture and the flavor. And so what we want here for Cabernet Franc is a long, moderate growing season that with really not a lot of change. And this part of the Uco Valley is really perfect for that. The weather systems in South America move west to east, and they actually come across the Pacific. They hit over Chile, and they actually run into the Andes mountain range, and it's too tall for them to go over. So on the other side of that, what you actually get is a rain shadow effect. So you get this very arid, very constant warm temperature through that valley, perfect for growing this type of grape. So the Alta Vista, and then with the Italian cheese, it's going to be a pretty natural pairing. Also, Chef, I think this would probably be a great time once we've gotten to these to talk about what meats we've got on this tonight.
Okay, I've just got some meats in here that I think would go good with everything. We've got some prosciutto up in the upper top part of the box. That's an Italian cured ham, really fatty, really sweet, and really salty. And then in the lower left corner, we've got some Italian capicola, which it's a cured pork sausage. It's rolled in pepper and smoked and then barn aged, and it comes from the upper shoulder of the animal.
Awesome. So as we get through, Cabernet Franc is going to show some of those spicier, some of those smokier notes, but also enjoy and try everything with this Cabernet Franc. This is, I'm trying to remember to remind myself, this is a great time to pause and enjoy this round if you haven't already, before we get to your finale of your large reserve Malbec, which is the Catena. So to finish it out, it would not be an Argentine wine event if we didn't talk about Malbec. Malbec, the famed grape of Argentina, actually comes from the Bordeaux region of France. In Bordeaux, it's planted very, very sparingly and honestly makes some pretty, what's the word I'm looking for, lackluster wine. There's very little Malbec that is 100% Malbec wine made in Bordeaux. There's a small region called Cahors outside of Bordeaux that does really, really excellent 100% Malbec, but it's not very well known. And when they brought grapes to Argentina, Malbec was one of the ones that took on the best footing. And the reason it did that is because of a few factors. Malbec is very heat tolerant, so it can stand up to a very hot climate. It's also very easy to grow with little water usage, again, so a dry climate. Lastly, what it is best known for and why it took off so well in Argentina is the adage of if it grows together, it goes together. And what I mean by that is Argentina is a very, very large beef consuming and cattle raising country and culture, and they eat a lot of meats with their meals. And Malbec and beef are a really incredible natural pairing. And so as that style of grilled meats in Argentina grew into, what we know and love today with the churrascos and everything like that, the natural pairing of Malbec really grew with it as well. The grape that was most well-known grown in Argentina before Malbec really took its popularity hold was a grape called Bonarda, much more similar to like Pinot Noir or Gamay, a very, very light, easy drinking kind of chilled red wine. Didn't necessarily match itself up to their great, beef that they're so well known for. So Malbec took hold. It grows really, really well in Argentina, and they can make some of the most exceptional red wine in the world. So we have tonight, your final wine for the evening is the Nicholas Catena family Vista Flores Malbec. The Catena family, and if there was anyone in Argentina that would be known for their history of Malbec, there's no one more well known than Nicholas Catena. He is considered the godfather of Malbec. He is the current generation's great-grandfather that is family owned and still continuing to make the wine. So his current great-grandson Ernesto makes this wine, but Nicholas was the founder and really kind of grew his family's property to put Malbec on the world stage. So when you taste Reserve Malbec, these wines see a lot of oak aging, and they do that to really grow and come into balance with themselves, because when they're very young, they're very austere, very strong, very high alcohol, very tannic red wines. And so they spend a little bit more time in oak and then a little bit more time in bottle before we get them. Luckily, the Southern Hemisphere, they are running about 6 months ahead of the rest of the world as far as vintage harvest dates. So when it says 2018, it's actually talking about the spring, February or March of 2018, whereas we have our harvest in the fall of that same year. So they got about 6 months ahead of us. So we always have perfectly aged Malbecs to reach us. I love Malbec because of its versatility. There are very few people, styles, foods that you cannot enjoy Malbec with. It really goes with everything, but I promise there's nothing better than these cured meats in this box. Or if you want to pause right here, pick up a steak and grill it real fast. I completely understand and would fully support it. If you happen to make your own Argentine-style chimichurri, just know that it does not come with cilantro, no matter what they tell you, because they don't grow cilantro in Argentina. So if you see a green Argentine chimichurri, tell them they're wrong. But I love talking about these wines. I love drinking them. As we go through, obviously the cheese pairing on this is amazing, but everything in the box is going to go well with everything. So, Chef, can you tell us a little bit about that last cheese for tonight?
Absolutely. This is my favorite wine in the tasting package, so we're going to pair it with my favorite cheese in the box. This is the Bleu d'Aubergine. It's a really nice, creamy French blue cheese. It's a lot less salty than standard blue cheeses, and it's got a more moist, creamy texture to it.
This is one of my favorite cheeses in the world. I actually don't like blue cheese, but I will eat all of this entire wheel because it may be the best blue cheese in the world. So as we go through, again, hopefully you kind of pause and enjoy this with the people that you're enjoying this with. Hopefully you all kind of pass cheeses and meats back and forth. You try and you see what you like. I don't think that there's going to be any disappointment with any of the wines or any of the pairings. And again, thank you for having us and letting us take you on this little journey. I hope you get to learn a little bit more, and I hope you enjoy doing these things, because I certainly do.
I just want to go over a couple of the other little goodies we've got in the box. We've got a few different varieties of grapes, just a nice green grape, and we've got some long sapphire grapes, which are a little bit elongated and slightly sweeter. We've got some green Divina olives, and then we've got a smoked salmon mousse to try with everything.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you all so much for joining us. I hope you really enjoy everything. Thank you to Chef Lee at 440 Main for including myself in this. But again, we hope you enjoy it. We hope to see you on the next one. Cheers, y'all.
Guys, cheers.
Thank you so much. See you next time.